Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. In this video we are going to be following on in the Python tutorial series and learning about conditions. Okay, so what is a condition in Python? Essentially, a condition is something that is expressed and evaluated, and based on that output, you do one thing or another thing. A way of kind of in code splitting down different parts. If, let's say, the value is greater than 10, then we go this way. If it's less than that way. Similar to when, go to buy something in a shop and it's the over 18 or something in the UK to buy it, then the shop assistant will go, can I check your ID? If their age is over 18, they're allowed to buy it. If not, they're not allowed to buy it. So you can see that we've got a condition based on our age. So we jump back into PyCharm. If you create yourself a new file, again, you go right here, you go new, and then a new Python file. I'm calling this one conditions. I'll put all this link in, all this code into GitHub later, but for now, follow along. So we're here to look at if statements and conditions to date. So let's say we have a value of x, which is 18. Let's do 18. Okay, so what I want to do is write an if statement to check essentially if they are greater than a certain age. So I'm going to say if value of x is greater than 18, then I'm going to print you are above 18 years old. Woo. If I run this now, let's set the value, let's say I'm going to set the value to, let's say it's 20. I run this and you can say, oh, running the wrong file. If I run the conditions file, you can say you are above 18 years old. Fantastic. Let's say if I set this value to below 18 now, then nothing prints out because we're hitting this conditional statement here that says, is the value of x greater than 18? So is this value greater than, the crocodile is eating this way, is this value greater than 18? If so, then come into this code block, otherwise don't. So you can see how this is slightly indented. If this evaluates to true, so if this actually evaluates to true and the expression is true, then we're going to come into this code block, otherwise we won't. So let's build on this now. So let's say, well, if the value isn't 18, then we can say otherwise or else, if we don't want to, then we can come print into here and say you are 18 years old or below. So now if I run this code, you see before we didn't have anything printed out, but because I've added this new statement, this else block, so 16 is not greater than 18, therefore we're not going to come into this first part and we're going to fall into this other part. So it's kind of like, if this is true, come into here, else come into here. So you can see here, you are 18 years old or below. And I can pop this in, so if I put 18 in here, you can see you are 18 years old or below, so it goes into that second block. And if I put 19 in here now, you can see you are above 18 years old. So x is now greater than 18, so we've come into this block. So you can see how we're, based on the value of this, we're conditioning, we're coming into this code block or this code block. And you can see in Python, we just indent by, I think it's 4 spaces or a tab, big argument, don't get into that, and then if it's true, we come into here, otherwise we come into here. So we can build on this even more actually. So we now have like 2 statements. So if true, otherwise do this, but this can get a bit kind of wordy to keep building this up. So what you can do is add another one in. So we can say if else x is equal to 18, then I can print out the value you are 18 years old, and then I can say, so now I've changed this a little bit. So I'm saying if you're above 18, you're above 18 years old, else if you are equal to 18, you are 18 years old, otherwise you are below 18 years old. So we've now I put 2 conditions in this. So this is called an if else statement. So before we had an if statement, this is called an if else statement in Python. So if this is true, do this, else if this is true, do this, else do that. Now if I run this statement, we got 19, so it's going to say you are above 18 years old, so 19 is greater than this. If I change the value to 18 now, you are 18 years old, because 18 is not greater than 18, it's equal to, so it doesn't go into this first code block. We then move on to the next check in order, and we move on to this and say x is equal to 18, so you are 18 years old, and then we obviously don't come into here, so we get you are 18 years old. And if I run lower now, so 17, it says you are below 18 years old. And I can build this up even more. I can put as many if else statements in as possible if I really want to. So I can actually put in one, let's say you're 17 years old. So let's say you are 7. So now if I change this, see, now we've got you are below 18 years. If I run this again, we've now got another condition here. So 17 is not greater than 18, 17 does not equal 18, 17 does equal 17, so I come into this code block now. So this is called an if else statement in Python. These are really powerful because you can build up some quite complex logic based on these. But ultimately, we we go down in order if you see them in the script, so from top to bottom, and you can, your expressions here are the conditions in order to what code block to jump into. So you can see we are only executing one of these code blocks. I can put as many conditions in here as I want. So I could say, for example, if x is equal to 18 or x is equal to 17, so I'm going to get rid of this now, then I can say you are 18 or 17 years old. So I can have two expressions in here. It doesn't have to just be a single one, I can have two. So I've now made my code slightly smaller, but I've combined two conditions into one here. So if I run this again now, you can see you are 18 or 17 years old, because it's saying is x equal to 18 or is it equal to 17? It is equal to 17, so it comes into this block. So you can write some fancy Python, which is called the ternary operator, which is kind of similar to an if statement 4. So if I have this example, so if x is greater than 18, I want you to basically do this, else you're going to do this, you know. So before we had print I'm older than 18, here we're going to have print I am 18 or less. So you can see here we take up a couple of 4 lines of code here in order to write this thing, but we can actually simplify this down a little bit. So we can write this in one line using the ternary operator. So this is essentially our only condition. This is our only bit of logic in the Python code. If this is greater than 18, do this, otherwise do that. And we can write this in one line if we say if. So actually, yeah, let me build this up in a way. So I'm going to take this else here, and I'm going to pop that there. And I'm going to take this print statement and I'm going to pop that on the end. So I've written exactly what I did before, I've just written it in one line now. So this reads as if x is greater than 18, do everything to the left, otherwise do everything to the right. If I comment this out now, you can see I've got I am 18 or less, because 9 is 18 or less. Let's change this to 19 now and run this, I am 18 or older. So you can see as x comes into here, we're going to the left hand side and not the right hand side. So this is called the ternary operator. It's just a more succinct way of kind of writing the if and the else part of an if-else statement. Yeah, you can kind of do it in one line. That is pretty much it for conditions. I just want to move on to one quick one, which is about booleans. So there's a few, you have a finite set of things. You remember when I said we could chain multiple conditions in one that we were doing up here? So we had kind of like x and this. So we have, you know, if this is true and this is true, then come into here. I want to show you the kind of combinations of things that we can do here. So there's only a finite set of possibilities here. So we have false, false. So for example, if we have true and true, so if this value on the left is true and this value on the right is true, then we're going to get the value true out. If this one is false and this one is true, we're going to get the value false out. If this is true and that is false, then we're going to get the value false out. And if they're both false, then we're going to get the value false out. So if I run this now and print, you can see we get true, false, false, false. So what I want to emphasize here is that when you're using the AND operator to chain multiple conditions together, you need to work out how they're going to be evaluated, basically. So if you do want a code block to run, then you need to get the true and, so this needs to be true and this needs to be true in order for the entire expression to evaluate to true. One is false, it will always be false, and if both are false, it will always be false. So therefore, these scenarios, it won't fall into the code block. Kind of got a similar setup for the OR operator. So for example, if true or true, we get true. False or true, we get true. And if true or false, we get true. If false or false, we get true. So this is slightly different here, but we're using the OR operator. So if this is true or this is true, come into the code block, so we get true. If this is false or this is true, we come into this code block because we got an OR true. So false or true is true. If this is true or this is false, then we get true. We've got a true. So if we have true or false, it's still true, so it's true there. If we've got false or false, then we got false. So if I run this now, come down here, so we've got true, 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 false, true, 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 false. So you can see the slight subtle difference here between ands and ors, where everything in the expression needs to be true in order for an and to be true, whereas with or, only one of them needs to be true in order for it to become true. So you can see I've got one here and one here. So basically the main difference is these two in the middle. So here we got opposites, false and true, which are false because they both have to be true, whereas here we've only got one, so true or true, and they still come out as true. So when you're looking at your expressions like this and thinking, you know, why is that not being evaluated and you've got an and there, it's because both conditions need to be true. If you had an or there, only one one of the conditions need to be true in order for the code block to be evaluated. So I hope that makes sense. That was kind of a crash course in conditions in Python. So that is quite a lot of information taken. I understand that's quite a lot. You've learned variables now and you've learned conditions. If you've not learned the variables, go back and have a look at that video. It'll be the previous one before this. This is kind of really the fundamentals of learning a programming language, is learning variables and learning conditions. Once you've kind of got that down, you can build a lot of functionality based on that. In a few videos times, we're going to be building a little homework project based on the stuff we've learned here. So we've got a few more videos to go through, and then once we've got that, we'll set a little homework for ourselves to work on that, and then we can start using the things we've learned in order to actually implement things in Python. I hope that made sense for you. Please comment, like, subscribe if you've got any questions down below. Thank you very much for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.